Have you ever wondered why your edits looks just okay, while somebody else's looks almost alive? You see, there is this specific quality the best photos have, a depth, a dimension, and this 3D pop that make them almost feel tangible. And my friend, that's not luck, it's not a better camera, and it's not even a better light at the time of shooting. You see, it's how you sculpt the light afterwards when you're editing your photo. Now, I've spent over 10 years obsessing over this and teaching it to thousands of photographers worldwide, and in this video right here, I'm going to show you the exact editing techniques and tricks I use to give any photo that beautiful 3D pop. Alright, so as usual, we break this video up in a few parts, starting with what is 3D pop? So 3D pop is a way for you to shape the image and create a more three-dimensional photo, hence 3D pop. So if you take a look at this photo right here, then this is quite three-dimensional. And if you take a look at the other photo, this is the same photo, this feels a lot flatter. More three-dimensional, more flatter. And what we are doing is we are manipulating the light to give it that almost tangible feeling. And you can see how the subject just stands out of the photo and we are shaping the light. That is the name of the game, shaping the light. And let me show you into more photos. Here's a photo that is edited, quite 3D poppy, if that is something like a word. And then here, it's just kind of flat. 3D poppy and flat. And again, if I show you this run right here, this is also a great example. Here, very, very pretty photo. I know I took it myself, so I'm like praising myself here. But this is with it is, and this is without. And you can just see how much more depth this image has compared to this image right here. Which naturally leads to the question, how do we create this? Let's dive into that. By the way, I made a free 33-day email series to help you become a better photographer. It's one short tip a day and it's totally free. You can find it in the description down below. All right, so let's edit this photo right here. And the way that we are creating this 3D pop is primarily with masking. By using masking to shape the light. So on this photo right here, you can see I have a bunch of different masks. And if I take them off, it looks like this. And if I take them on, it looks like this. I'm going to dive into each one of these masks and what they do. But you just want to show you how important this is. Here we have another photo, and this is with the masks on, and this is with the mask off. You can see how much flatter this is. And what I'm doing, if I open up the masks, you can see, H, I'm creating a few masks to open up the middle here to give this more light here while enhancing the shadows, kind of like advanced dodge and burn. And then you can also see like just simple photo. I was working, this is a photo that I shot just the other day. I haven't finished editing it, but just take a look at a few different masks. This is without and this is with. I'm opening up the middle, giving more light to her, and then I'm slightly darkening the foreground while also brightening up this part right here. So let us now work on this photo together so you can clearly see how this works. And by the way, if you want to download this photo, then I can leave it down in the description down below and you can edit this with me. All right, so the first thing that I like to do, and this is super, super important, and that is that I like to establish where is the light coming from. On this photo right here, it's coming from here. So that means that here we are going to brighten up ever so slightly. If we were working with, let's say this photo right here, because I know there's just a few simple masks here. You can see this is with the mask off, and this is with on. You can see the incredible 3D depth we get. No, just no mask, very, very flat, with it on, and boom, the entire image just comes to life. And here I am establishing, okay, light is coming from this direction, which means that I'm going to enhance the light here to give this sense that the light is just coming from this direction and help enhancing the light, beaming it down to the valley. I'm opening up the shadows here in the middle, you can see here, and just helping guide the viewer's eyes to here. And then I'm also very often darkening the foreground ever so slightly just to help give that 3D pop. So if you're working on this photo right here, what I would like to do is go to masks, click up here, and we can start with a simple radial filter. We can create it like this. Now I accidentally have exposure on. And here it just depends on the photo. No photo is going to have 100% exactly the same masks, but the principles will apply across whatever photo that you're working with. So here we can take up the shadows, a little bit like this, a little bit the whites, a little bit the exposure, and just see how far we can do. Often, I like to have one like this. Maybe I want to feather it a little bit less to get the entire puffin right here. And then a very nice slider to know of, if you've been working, you say, go like this, and you go like, it's a little bit too much. Instead of taking down every single slider, what you can always do is to come back up to the amount slider. And this is a global adjustment, or like an opacity of this mask. So here is 0%, the mask is doing nothing, and here we're taking it up. Also, if you're totally new and you don't know these shortcuts, then this is really good. You press O on your keyboard and it's going to give you this red thing that shows you where the effect is taking place. And then H, if you don't see the lines, it's going to hide the lines, and now you can see the lines and where the mask is. So we can do it like this. And then what we can do, we can take a linear gradient filter and take it down from the top. Sorry, I have to take the exposure off here. But this right now, one thing that I often like when I'm working with photos is to have it slightly smaller. So go up here, maybe 25. This is maybe a little bit too much, just like so. And what I'm gonna do now, I am gonna brighten up this area, but I don't wanna just take up the exposure. I wanna create this misty haze effect. So what I do then, I go down here and we go to the haze and we take that down. This creates this really, really nice, beautiful hazy effect. And you just have to decide how far you want to take it. And then in combination, you can also take down the clarity to soften that up. And if you want to, you can take up the exposure ever so slightly as well. And look, already with these two masks, we go take them from this to this, a massive difference. What we can do now, we can take another linear gradient filter and we can add it slight here, darkening the foreground ever so slightly. We can also then go plus, click the brush, take it up. I often like to have it quite big and just feather out. So if you press O, you can see what I'm doing. I'm feathering out, actually have the flow up. We take the flow to 100 and I'm just ever so slightly touching the bottom here. And then I like to take down the exposure and up the contrast, just darkening those bottom corners a little bit more. What you can do then, you can click subject. It is going to create a mask around the subject itself. Sometimes it's not perfect. In this scenario, it's taking this section right here. I think it's okay, so we just do a slight exposure and a little bit up with the white and tiny bit up with the contrast. And you can see that this goes from this to this really quickly. Now here you can get super nerdy and tedious. You could go and plus, click out. We're gonna do this down now. I'm not gonna forget that. And click brush, and you could actually do a little brush. We have to have H so you can see it. Where is the brush? Click brush. Here it is. And then you can paint the flower a little bit, and we could actually brightening the flowers. I think that could be cool, just ever so slightly. And these kind of also act like an implied leading line here to the subject. And then if you wanted, you could take another brush and start to brush specific areas of the bird to get super specific. Now, two other tricks that is super good to know. So for example, on this photo right here, I have this side light thingy that I think is absolutely fantastic. So basically, we have to first establish where is the light coming from, like we saw in the beginning. And that is because we have these two masks. So if I press O, you can see I have one mask here, and this is helping emphasizing where the light is coming from and help emphasizing that light source. But what I like to do what I call mask stacking. And that is that I'm stacking few different masks that are doing similar things, but in different ways. And that gives me greater control. I sometimes get asked, why do you have so many different masks doing kind of the similar? And this is the reason. So for example, we have this mask right here, and all this is just a radial filter in the same corner as where the light is coming from. And then, my friend, if you go down here, I have it down with the dehaze and then down with the clarity. This is obviously for explanational purposes, but this is what I do. So it looks like this. Now, if you wanted to, and let's say that there was a golden hour, you can also enhance or emphasize that golden tone by dragging up the temperature slider as well to help with the golden tone that the sunlight is beaming during golden hour if you wanted to. It's all up to you. But then I combined it with this mask that is shaped more like a cone. It is doing the same thing. You can see down with the clarity and down with the dehaze, but I'm now shaping it like a cone and beaming it down towards this fjord where I have similar masking setup like in our puffin photo. I have a mask here that is opening up the middle, and then I have other masks to, darkening the foreground just a little bit to help create that three-dimensional look. Now, if you want to be a true ninja and get your black belt in photo editing, then there are a few extra steps that you can do. And let's dive into it. We can show it on this photo right here. And by the way, if you want to learn more about photo editing and really learn how to take it to the next level, then check out my entire Lightroom masterclass. It's a simple step-by-step course that's built on over 10 years of editing experience. And my aim is not only to show you all of the little editing techniques and tricks that I use on a regular basis and show you the sliders and what to do in this entire program, but my aim is also to teach you how to think like an editor. So you just don't know the tools, but you know why you are using them in the first place. Plus, color theory is super important, and there is an entire module just on color theory for photographers. And if you understand the color aspect, then you can really unlock some seriously cool edits. At the time of the recording, over 700 photographers have gone through this course. The feedback I've gotten is absolutely wild. It is so rewarding for me to see when you guys send me photos to show the progress you've made by just applying the things that I teach in this course. If you're interested, my friend, then you can find more information in the description down below. Now, let me show you a sneaky little trick that is so beautiful and so good to know. So, as we talked about, when you want to get a 3D pop, we need to shape the light. It comes in many different forms. Often it's about establishing where is the light source coming from. We've talked about this. It's come from this direction. All right, we enhance the light. We're darkening the foreground a little bit if that is what the photo needs. And then we help guide the viewer's eyes and help opening up the subject. But in some scenarios, we have a photo like this. The light, this is without all the mask. You can see it's quite flat. I waited actually for this photo for the sun to beam to the lighthouse. It didn't come. I waited for 45 minutes until I had to go. So what I did then, I just faked it a little bit in post-production. So you can see the light on the lighthouse, and this is so freaking good. Firstly, we have the mask that I showed you before. We have this mask right here, which is just, as always, down with the clarity, down with the haze. And then we have another one where I'm having a super cone that is guiding down towards the lighthouse itself. But on the lighthouse, I have some super cool, sneaky masks as well. So look, this photo is the same photo, but I think I accidentally took up. Yeah, here I have just these masks right here. So look, I have just these global middle masks, but I don't have these tiny masks right here that are giving this beautiful realistic contrast. You see, this is without them here. Take a look at how flat the lighthouse looks compared to this right here, where we get that nice contrast. So what's happening, let me just show you, is that I click plus and then I click subject. So now Lightroom creates a mask around the subject, all right? So it is here. And if we zoom in, I can show you what is happening. We can take like this. Maybe this is a little bit too much. Let's do 100, just like so. All right, so this right here is what's happening. This is the mask. Now, if we were to take up the exposure, it would look quite strange. But what if we were to manipulate the mask in a way where we can create a very realistic exposure up here that gradually goes down, and then the opposite direction, we create a shadow that then goes and becomes gradually less and less, like the light we're hitting the lighthouse in reality. I'm just getting way too excited here. But look, we highlight the mask, we right click on it, and then you go to intersect mask with linear gradient filter. Okay, you click that. Now, my friend, if I drag here, we are intersecting a linear gradient filter with the mask, the subject mask that we had. And basically what that means is that where these two masks collide, that's where the effect will take place. So here, the light is coming from up here in the corner. So if we were to just put it just like so, look, and if I just show you, if we take up the exposure, this is the effect. All right, so you can see here, we can make the light come in a very natural way, and we can have it gradually coming down just like so. And now we can just take the exposure a tiny bit like this, and it feels like the light is just beaming a little bit down on the lighthouse itself. Then we create another mask, again subject, and we right click, intersect mask with, linear gradient filter, and we do it in the opposite direction, like true black belts. And then we take down the exposure like so. We take up the contrast to get that contrast, and maybe even down with the shadows. And look how beautiful this is. Look how beautiful this is. So good. This is really how you take your masking skills to the next level. You intersect them with other masks, you combine the different masks by stacking them together, and you really start slowly building a lighting scenario by fully taking control of the light. And that, my friend, is how you really get that beautiful three-dimensional pop that will get your crush to ask you for your phone number, you know? Now, the thing is, if you really want to get your crush's phone number, then you need to understand how to edit your photos from ground up to begin with. The only problem is most people feel it's super complicated. However, lucky you, then I have a full video where I break down my simple approach on how to edit banger photos, and you can watch it right here.